In a small village named Nkalo, nestled deep within the fertile plains of West Africa, life moved with the rhythm of nature. The villagers were connected to the land, their traditions steeped in respect for the spirits of their ancestors and the mysteries of the world around them. The baobab trees that towered over the landscape were said to hold the wisdom of generations, and the winds that swept through the village carried the whispers of the old ones. It was in this village, on a night when the moon hung low and full in the sky, that an extraordinary child was born. Amina, a young woman known for her beauty and gentle spirit, was heavy with child. The villagers had eagerly anticipated the birth, as Amina's child was expected to be as beautiful and kind as she was. But when the midwives delivered the baby and unwrapped the cloth that covered her, gasps filled the small hut. The newborn, named Juma, was not what anyone had expected. Juma was born with the appearance of an old woman. Her skin was wrinkled and loose, her hair a dull gray, and her body frail. Her eyes, though large and soulful, seemed clouded with the weight of many years. The midwives exchanged uneasy glances, and the villagers who had gathered outside whispered among themselves, their faces pale with fear and confusion. Amina, though shocked, held her daughter close, tears streaming down her face. She could feel the child's heart beating against her chest, and despite her unusual appearance, Amina knew that Juma was her child, a gift from the spirits. But the villagers were not so accepting. They believed that Juma was cursed, an omen of bad luck sent by the ancestors. They urged Amina to abandon the child in the forest, to let nature take its course. But Amina refused. Her love for Juma was stronger than her fear of the unknown. She took her daughter and fled to the outskirts of the village, where she sought refuge in the home for the elderly. The home, a modest structure surrounded by lush gardens, was where the village's elders spent their final days, cared for by a few kind souls who dedicated their lives to tending to the old ones. The elders, a group of wise, kind-hearted men and women, welcomed Amina and her unusual child with open arms. They had seen much in their long lives, and they knew better than to judge Juma by her appearance. To them, she was simply a child, a soul that needed love and care. Amina, relieved to have found a safe place for her daughter, stayed at the home, helping to care for the elders and raising Juma in their midst. Growing up among the elders ***. As the years passed, Juma grew up surrounded by the wisdom and stories of the elderly. She learned to walk in the garden, her small, frail legs supported by the steady hands of the elders. She listened to their tales of times long past, their voices carrying the weight of experience and the warmth of nostalgia. The elders taught her about the cycles of life, the importance of honoring one's ancestors, and the beauty of the world, even in its harshest moments. But Juma was different from other children. She did not grow in the way that they did. While her mind was sharp and curious, her body remained that of an old woman. The wrinkles on her face did not smooth out, her gray hair did not darken, and her frail frame did not strengthen. She watched as the elders around her aged further, their bodies growing weaker until they eventually passed away, leaving Juma with a deep sense of loss and loneliness. Despite her unusual appearance, Juma was loved by those who knew her. The elders cherished her as their own, seeing in her a reflection of their own lives, full of wisdom, marked by time, but still vibrant in spirit. Juma, in turn, loved them deeply. She felt a connection to the old ones that went beyond the physical, a bond that was rooted in the shared understanding of life's impermanence. But as more and more of the elders passed away, Juma began to notice something strange happening to herself. Her wrinkles, which had once been deep and pronounced, started to soften. Her hair, once dull and gray, began to darken, taking on a rich, deep black. Her frail body grew stronger, and her posture straightened. While the elders around her aged and withered, Juma seemed to be moving in the opposite direction. By the time she reached her teenage years, Juma's transformation was undeniable. She was no longer the frail, old woman-child she had once been. Instead, she had become a strikingly beautiful young woman, her skin smooth and radiant, her hair thick and lustrous. The villagers, who had once shunned her, now marveled at her beauty. They whispered among themselves, wondering if she was blessed by the spirits after all. Juma, however, was not concerned with her appearance. She still mourned the loss of the elders who had cared for her, and she often found herself wandering through the empty halls of the home, lost in memories of those who had passed on. She felt a deep connection to them, and their absence left a void in her heart that she did not know how to fill.